What's up everyone and welcome back. I'm in the garage again working on the 03 bugeye. If you saw the last video, you'll know that we were unsuccessful in getting this thing started up. I am still suspicious that it is the injectors. The scaling was off with the tune that was on the car at that time. I have already flashed a new base map on this thing with correct scaling. So before we get into anything else today, I'm going to just attempt to start this thing and see if it will actually idle. So let's get in there and see what happens. There we go. That's what I wanted to see happen. It was just the injectors. It's still really loud. I do have the downpipe on, but the rest of the exhaust still is not on yet. Super happy about that. All right, so I guess my theory was correct. It must have just been the injectors. So with the correct base map, it's amazing how much better a car will start. So there's a lot of little things that I still have to do with this thing today. Obviously, we have the rest of the exhaust to mount back up. I also have to pull the bypass valve back off. I have a gasket for that came. And then I have these other parts here. So there's the gasket for the bypass valve. We are installing new ball joints, and then I have an adapter because that Cobb downpipe is one of the older style ones that I think it has like the 2.5 inch outlet. I got some vacuum lines to hook up to our boost controller, and then obviously just some cotter pins and castle nuts for the ball joints. This guy is a circlip so that we can fix this axle right here. So I will actually need to run to O'Reilly here before I really get into this so that I can pick up a CV boot clamp, so that we can get that CV boot reinstalled after I put the circlip back in. So yeah, I'm just gonna run over to the auto parts store real quick and then we'll start knocking this stuff out. All right guys, so I am back from the auto parts store. Got our CV boot clamp right there with our tool. So I'm gonna go grab the radiator. We'll get that dropped in. We'll just start connecting all the coolant lines and then I'll work on the exhaust. So I'm just gonna get started. All right, so we got a radiator here. If the fitment with the fan looks funny, that's because it is actually funny. You can see it right there, it kind of sticks off the side. I found these fans in a junkyard for dirt cheap because I didn't have one. I didn't have the original fans for this car. It didn't come with them. So I had to make do with these, but they have the correct clips here and I have tested them and they do work. So I'm gonna roll with them. Quick update here for you guys. So we have the radiator installed with our fans, got our coolant expansion tank mounted up right there. AC lines are installed down there. Bypass valve gasket is in. Coolant lines are all in place. All right, so next up is routing the vacuum lines off the boost controller. I just checked it out. This is the Grimspeed 3-port. And so the middle one will go over to this port on the turbo. The left one that you can't see that's down in there is gonna go to the wastegate, and then this right one will connect to this line right here on our turbo inlet. So, you guys have never used one of these adapters before for these older downpipes. I think the way it goes is you do this gasket, this metal flange, the flat side goes against this side, and then this side that's all has the indentation on it. I believe that's what sits up against the donut gasket. So you still have to use the donut gasket, unfortunately. But at least we'll know that we got a good seal. Our exhaust is on, mounted up nice, and we are moving on. All right, moving on to this axle, one of my least favorite things to do. It's actually still in there correctly. We just have to take this, it's called a circlip. This is the part number for it. And it just like sits, there's this inner like fitting inner ridge right in here on the inside of the cup, and this seats right in there and keeps this from being able to be pulled all the way out. I don't know if you can see that, like that. It sits in there pretty shallow, but now as you can see, I can't pull this back out now that the circlip's in. She is nice and tight. All right guys, so if you've never installed an axle on one of these before, I'll show you something real quick. So there's a hole right there, and that hole you want to like kind of keep in mind where that's at. So you see the spline. I can reach over here and turn the wheel if I have to. And when I turn the wheel, it'll rotate that spline. So the holes on that green cup, they need to line up with the holes on here, so you can put that spring clip in place and knock it in there, and so that it will hold it in place and won't be able to come off. This is the spring clip. This guy right here. There's your part number right there. That's what goes through the hole underneath. So we're gonna knock that thing in right now. So as you can see, now that we have the axle back on, you can see that the hole goes straight through. That's what you want. Boom, there she is. All right guys, so ball joint is in place. Now all we gotta do is just tighten down the castle nut, put the cotter pin in, and then tighten the castle nut here on the tie rod end, and put that cotter pin back in. And then I just got to button all this back up. So tighten up the strut, put the ABS sensor back in, and then put the rotor back in place and reinstall the brake calipers. As you can see, we got everything all hooked back up. Oh, my light just bailed on me. So yeah, brakes are reinstalled. Everything looks good to go. And so now I'll just need to jump over to the other side and we need to replace that ball joint. So it's the next day. I got the other ball joint all finished up on this driver's side. Everything's all mounted up on the passenger side, fixed that axle, got that ball joint replaced. I have ROM writer open in here. I'm just going to check the CEL that we threw real quick through the ROM writer logger. Now that the exhaust system is hooked back up and we have both of the O2 sensors plugged back in. If it is still popping up, I think that front O2 sensor is actually bad, so we'll have to get that sorted out before we can actually drive the car. So let's just jump in there real quick. All right, guys, so just gonna plug in our Tactrix cable here. Read diagnostic codes. Yes, we want to read them. TGV position 2, circuit low. Let me open the garage. Now we will start it up. Starts right up now. Check engine light is still on. Well, let's read the codes then again. TGV, something to do with the TGV. Well, it appears to be running well. Not really sure what to do about that code because the TGVs are all plugged in. Well, I'm gonna let it idle, relearn for a little bit, see if anything changes, and we'll maybe just take it out for a drive, see how it feels. All right, so I looked it up and that code is P1086. It's for low circuit on the TGV sensor. So it looks like it's one of the sensors is bad and so it needs to be replaced. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about that yet, but one thing that is positive is after I kind of let it idle for a bit, the RPMs dropped back down to like between 800 and 900 and it was idling really nicely. I turned it off because I don't have any water or coolant in this thing yet. And so before it really gets up to temp, I'm gonna throw some water in this thing. I'm gonna use water first just because I haven't tested the cooling system yet to see if there's any leaks, and I'd rather deal with water leaking rather than coolant leaking. Oh God. I overfilled it. Oh well. All right, so we got some water in here now, and it's not accepting anymore. I'm trying to burp it a little bit more, but as you can see, there's still some in there. If you've never had to burp your cooling system on one of these Subarus, you definitely want to use one of these if you can. They're kind of overpriced for what they are. I don't know where I got this one, maybe Napa or something, and it was like 30 bucks or something, so it's kind of ridiculous, I know. But it makes it a whole hell of a lot easier because, as you'll see when I turn this on, all the air bubbles will kind of travel to this highest point right here, and the air will be able to escape. And so when some of the air escapes, it'll get replaced with some of that water. Ultimately, like, there will probably be some fluid still left in this thing, so you can use this little stopper and stick it in there, and then you can pull the thing off and you're not just gonna like spill fluid everywhere. So they're pretty nice. We will also try to burp this power steering system as well at the same time. And then once that's all finished up, then we can go take this thing for a test drive. Sounds pretty good. So I'll just show you right here. You can see those little air bubbles, maybe. I don't know how well it's gonna come out on camera, but squeeze this tube, it'll actually push air bubbles out like that. And that'll kind of help speed it up. Once it warms up as well, you can actually like hold down the accelerator at like 2,000 RPMs or so, and that will also help kind of speed up the process of burping the coolant. This thing sucks though. Having to burp the power steering, you basically just like turn the wheel to one side, nice and slow. Stop, back the other side, nice and slow. Just keep doing it for a while, and it's supposed to just push air out of the thing. I've done it before. The thing about it is you never really know when you've done enough. You just kind of have to like go drive it and test the power steering. And if it seems off, seems like there's air in it or something, it's not responding the way it should, you can try it again. That's what I've always done anyways. I don't really know if there's like a better way, to be honest. There's probably some sort of tool or something that actually can do it for you much quicker, but I don't have one of those, so we're not using fancy stuff in this garage. Just did a couple of idle logs for the tuner. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing off the jack stands. We're gonna take it out for a little test drive. All right, guys, we are cruising. Feels pretty good so far. Feels like a car. Sounds good. It feels pretty nice. The steering's nice and tight. Yeah, so I think I definitely bled out the power steering well enough. Everything feels pretty good. Brakes feel good. Shifting nice. Transmission feels good. Yeah, I think it's a solid little car. Well, I think I'm going to end the video here. Yeah, anyway, if you liked this and you got something out of it, do me a favor and hit that like button. Think about subscribing to the channel. I got a lot more stuff coming up in the future, the near future, actually. As soon as this thing's kind of done and I put it up for sale, I will reveal the next project. I think you guys will be stoked for it. So, yeah, thanks again for joining me. Until next time, peace out.